Welcome to TWitWoW, the best wrestling podcast made for wrestling fans, by wrestling fans, on the web today. I'm John. That's my cohort and commentary, Ashton. And this is our Lucha Underground review. And this episode was stacked. We got cinematics. We got plans laid for next week that are absolutely insane. We had championship matches. We had medallion matches. We had debuts. We had excommunications. Everything and then some on this show. Unreal. Just a lot of fun, the same way Lucha Underground always is. Don't take my word for it, though. Let's ask my co-owner in commentary. Ashton, what do you think of tonight's episode?
Man, tonight's episode was crazy. It felt very fast-paced, action-packed from the get-go. I mean, we had 3 matches, which has kind of become the formula. But, man, the first match was fun and interesting. The second match was fun as all hell. And the third match was shocking because of how sort of quick it lasted. I thought it was going to be, like a longer, more drawn-out thing, but a bit of a surprise going on there. Plus, like you said, we got a couple cinematics that I really enjoyed. It's good to kind of be back home as far as the cinematics go. We didn't really get many of those last week. We got the first one with the open wake for Dario's body, but that was about it. We got some new luchadors in the temple. The first match, we got 3 debuting talents, which was cool. And of course, we are continuing the Reptile Tribe versus Worldwide Underground feud in a way that only TWitWoW can.
Yes, absolutely. And we'll get to that. We will get to that because I had some Twitter developments today and we had some Lucha Underground developments tonight that made me grin from ear to ear. So with that said, you guys know, for the Lucha Underground faithful and the TWitWoW faithful, we usually don't do Heat of the Night for Lucha Underground because it's just so fucking amazing. So we were going to get right into our Lucha Underground review. And partner, how do we open this baby up?
Well, we open this baby up with a glimpse inside King Cuerno's trophy room. And we see teleporting into his chair, Katrina. And she is looking for the Gauntlet of the Gods, which we already know from last season that she wants to bring that to her mother, Captain Vasquez. And her mother, Captain Vasquez, has offered in return the second half of the immortality granting amulet that they got, that I guess Captain Vasquez got from her father when she was a little girl. So there's a lot of shit going on there, but she wants the gauntlet because none of that can happen until she gets it. And she's looking for it, and Cuerno is home. So he stops her and he's just like, oh, hey, I gave it to someone to hide. I don't even know where it is, but wherever it is, it can't be with you because it's too damn powerful. And she basically says oh, well, if I don't get that, I'm never going to get my life force back. And he says, I don't give a damn about your life force.
Yeah, he straight up says, I don't give a shit about your life. And I'm like, damn, Cuerno, you playing hardball. Really interesting tidbits here. We know that Katrina's still thinking about her life force and stuff like that, which takes a huge turn later in the episode, which we will get to. I'm more interested in Cuerno being kind of a selfless hunter, recognizing the gravity of one of his trophies and giving it to somebody else who we know to be, based on the context clues, Aerostar. Ashton, what do you think of this development?
Yeah, that's a good point. That's entirely possible. Mark in chat even just said he gave it to Aerostar. So maybe Aerostar literally hit it in time.
Which would be a smart thing to do because that gauntlet is an artifact of immense power. And it cannot fall into the wrong hands, as Cuerno notes, because it has the power to wipe out the very descendants of the 7 Aztec tribes. So Cuerno, I guess, because Cuerno's a member of the Deer tribe, correct?
Yes, I think it's pretty safe to say he's basically the leader of the Deer tribe.
And yeah, Cuerno looking out for his tribe, tribal loyalty goes against even the most hedonistic impulses of the hunter, preserving the game, going after dangerous game, etc. So it's an interesting turn for the Cuerno character, and one that's most welcomed after he's been gone, for so long. I mean, I know he returned at Ultima Lucha Trace, But I feel like Cuerno's really ready to make an impact again, and it's so freaking wonderful to see because he's really become one of my favorite characters in the Temple. And I know you've been a supporter of him for a long time, since the first season, as a matter of fact.
Apparently, according to Dragon Man X90 in chat, Cuerno said that he didn't know where or when the guy hit it. So I think that's a hint that he did, in fact, give it to Aerostar, and Aerostar hid that baby in time. He went back in time, found the safest place he could, and hid it so that it would never be found. And that almost makes me wonder if the sort of Indiana Jones, Johnny Mundo scene that we saw in the trailer might be him looking for the gauntlet.
Yeah, very well could be, man. I can't wait for this. The Gauntlet has been one of my favorite running threads, and seeing it give Cuerno the character development that it's given him has only made me love it more. I've got nothing but positive things to say about the cinematic. However, I fear that I might grow redundant if I talk any further, so I'll hand the reins over to you if there's anything you haven't said yet. I just thought this was an amazing tone setter for tonight's episode.
Yeah, it's great to get back to starting episodes with cool cinematics like this, but then we do come back to the Temple and we get right into our first match, which, you know, there's a little bit of convoluted stuff going on here to start, because Melissa Santos announces that the Trios Championship will be defended, but we already know Killshot, the Mac, and Son of Havoc are the champs, but she announces the opponents as Tejano, Dr. Wagner Jr., and Famous B, obviously all accompanied by the beautiful Brenda, Infamous Incorporated. But Famous B comes out and he says, listen, as always, Melissa, you don't have all the facts. Tejano, or as he says it, Tejano and Dr. Wagner Jr. are in Mexico making me money. So he has literally searched the world, which really just kind of limits itself to the US and maybe part of Mexico, and found 3 new representatives that he has signed to Infamous Incorporated. And he introduces the 3: Big Bad Steve, who we know as Steve Payne, who was also Pindar last season; Sammy Guevara, who is new to the Temple, and we're familiar with him through PWG; and the Savage Jake Strong, formerly known as Jack Swagger in WWE.
Yeah, we finally get his debut in the Temple. I didn't think he looked too bad here, and this might be the fresh start that he needs. Although I will say, just as like not really a linear note, about the match, but just more of an observation, Sammy Guevara is a human highlight reel. I cannot wait to see more from him, dude. What did you think about this match?
Sammy Guevara is something special for sure, and he fits right in with Lucha Underground. I feel like he and this team is such a mishmash. I almost feel like he should be teaming up with the likes of like El Dragon Azteca Jr. and Aerostar with the way he wrestles.
Absolutely. How old is Sammy Guevara anyway? Is he on the younger side? Because he looks youthful. I don't know.
Sammy Guevara is 25, going to be 25 in July.
Beautiful. Beautiful, dude.
Continuing that youth movement, baby.
So break down the match from your perspective for me. I mean, what did you think of the newest clients, for Infamous Incorporated?
We've already seen Big Bad Steve as Pindar before, so I'm already kind of familiar with him, and I've never really been super impressed by him. He's not bad by any means. He just kind of feels like your generic power wrestler,
Right.
It really, unfortunately, doesn't seem like the Savage Jake Strong has improved by any significant degree since the Jack Swagger days. So he's going to be one of those guys that's always going to be good, but I don't know if I've ever seen him have a great match with anyone, and that includes guys like Brian and Punk and all those guys. And Sammy Guevara is a highlight reel for sure, but again, kind of coming back to he's one-dimensional, because I kind of see him as that human highlight reel and nothing else. You know what I mean?
Interesting. So really, you're probably the highest on Sammy Guevara of the 3, but it seems like all 3 prospects for Infamous Incorporated don't really have much to show at present. So
I think the biggest deal though is the Savage Jake Strong, because not only is, like I already said, he's pretty much always going to put on good matches. I just question if he's able to have like one of those amazing, like, holy shit, like take your breath away matches, which we've already seen plenty of in Lucha Underground. But the thing with him is, dude, he's like a shoot 6'5", and you know who else is a shoot 6'5" is Austin Madelson, aka Vibora, who they bill at 7 feet tall. So
damn.
ever going to get an interaction between him and Jake Strong where we see that they're like the same height and Jake Strong is going to start having to get built at 7 feet tall, or they're going to have to back off of that for Vibora?
Yeah, dude, that's crazy to think about, man. I'm so glad you made that point. As far as I go, not a bad match. The new trios champions, Killshot, Mac, and Son of Havoc look great here. I thought there'd be a bit more discord, though, because, Son of Havoc kind of was just ham-fisted in last week because Dante is MIA, and Son of Havoc just gets awarded his third of the trios championships, which seemed to leave Mac and Killshot a bit perturbed about the whole thing. But they worked together pretty seamlessly. As far as Infamous Incorporated, I thought it was great that we got 3 debuting talents all in one match. That's really cool. And really what's great is that all 3 in their own way were protected because they worked as such a well-oiled machine. They had the match won. Jake Strong gets the ankle lock on Killshot in, and Killshot, though, is tapping out because Famous B had started distracting the referee earlier, and the thing was he never stopped, even when his own team had the advantage. So I thought it was a great way to continue the Famous B character that's always been, very egotistical, kind of a blowhard, while also protecting his clientele by making them look good. You know what I mean? So I thought that was very well done.
Yeah, definitely. Famous B costing his own guys the victory, unfortunately. And then, so afterwards, Jake Strong was very unhappy with the fact that he had Killshot tapping the hell out. And, Famous B was distracting the ref and prevented them from getting the win off of that. So he goes a little bit berserk. And, he lives up to his namesake, the Savage. And he goes savage on his tag partners, Big Bad Steve and Sammy Guevara. And he kind of destroys both of them. And then we see Famous B get in the ring, and he ends up getting attacked by Jake Strong as well.
I actually, while you were talking earlier, I actually tweeted at Famous B because of this development. I said to him, at Famous B23, just wanted to let you know you got exactly what you deserve from Jake Strong. Next time, don't love the sound of your own voice so much. Also, maybe return mine and Vinny Massaro's calls next time so you can actually associate with winners for once. Hashtag ice that ankle. So, I have pretty much made my position clear. I'll be curious how Famous B responds. It wouldn't be the first time he's put me in my place, so I don't really think I have anything positive coming. But yeah, it's just a very interesting dynamic that Famous B screws himself out of having the Trios Championships in his own faction. And now Jake Strong's just kind of gone rogue, gone his own way. So really, I'm curious where Strong is going to find himself. Is he going to find himself in allegiance to a god? Maybe he's just going to do his own thing and be like a hyper individualist, just trying to conquer the temple and all of its offerings. Who knows? I'm just curious what feuds and cinematics he's going to find himself in this season.
Well, I guess we'll have to wait and see how that turns out. So if you're ready to move on, I think we can do that.
Absolutely. Let's move on.
Yeah, because after this, Antonio Cueto comes out and introduces, hey, guys, even though most of his ideas were stolen from me, my son Dario had one spark of brilliance, the gift of the gods. And he says that we're going to start the process yet again of finding our next gift of the gods champion with the Aztec medallion, the first Aztec medallion on the line in the next match, which ends up being Drago from the Reptile Tribe versus El Dragon Azteca Jr., who, I feel like is pretty safe to say is like the sort of totem figure, like the leader, I guess you could say, of the Eagle Tribe. But this is a great match, man. This was a lot of fun.
Oh, yeah, dude. I thoroughly enjoyed this. Azteca and Drago are beasts. Drago, really, to me, I won't necessarily call him underrated necessarily, but sometimes I do think people forget like how good he can be. You know what I mean? At times. So I'm glad he gets to have matches like this because it's like, oh shit, Drago's awesome. And, Azteca, to me, Azteca's actually in a very interesting place because given all the shakeups in the temple of like people not returning and other acts coming in, this is really, to me, in my opinion, and I may be alone on this, I think this is his season to really stake his claim as a main event guy. and to really be that mainstay in Lucha Underground. Like, I could really see him beginning this season and maybe coming full circle season 6. If we get there, which we will, because Lucha Underground's going to last forever.
Forever.
Exactly. Really becoming that figurehead for the promotion. Really becoming that guy that you associate the way that Puma was on episode 1. Right away you knew, okay, the brand's being built around this dude. And I think this is like Lucha Underground's second wave, so to speak. And who's it going to be built around? I think, honestly, it's going to be built around Azteca. And honestly, who better? The dude is insanely fun to watch. I think he can be an interesting character, especially when he has his dalliances with vengeance. And it's like, no, I'm not going to do this whole honor code bullshit. I'm going to, do my own thing. I am still curious. The big question for me, and I know we're kind of veering away from the match, but it's a Lucha Underground review. You and I talk about everything, right? I'm still curious what kind of a character, what kind of a narrative Azteca is going to construct for himself in spite of the fact that Rey is not on this season. I mean, do you have any idea about that yourself?
Well, I mean, you and I both avoided spoilers, man, so I don't have any clue. I'm just along for the ride just like you are.
And I mean, that's the best part about avoiding spoilers, though, right? Is that, like, we don't know. So really all conjecture, to me, is equally on the table. We know that Azteca took the first step tonight because he won his Aztec medallion match over Drago. It was a very game, competitive matchup, but ultimately Azteca does get the win, which I thought was a great call, not just because I'm embroiled in a feud with the Reptile Tribe, which, I knew you'd fail. I knew it. But because Azteca, as a talent, I think is ready for this spot. I even said on live reactions, and I will reiterate, we do not know the rest of the field. So, of course, you never want to speak too soon. But given the growth that Azteca has had between seasons, I almost feel like you have to consider him a favorite. So I'm really curious what they're going to do with the Gift of the Gods this year, because I'll tell you, knowing that Pentagon is, world champion and seems to kind of have a vice grip on that title, we'll talk a little bit about that later. Gift of the Gods could be very, very interesting this season. So very happy for him that he won the medallion. Do you have any other notes you want to make about the match? Like just favorite spots or anything like that?
No, man. This was just one of those fun matches between two athletic dudes. Drago, I was kind of disappointed that Drago didn't try the Dragon's Tail pinning combination even once. He did a Mahishtal Cradle once, and I think he was even going for it a second time. But the Dragon's Tail is so much more like complicated and cool than that.
Yeah, I agree. I'm disappointed we didn't get to see it as well, but maybe they just wanted to protect Drago because he didn't go over in this. So it's kind of like in a New Japan match when you don't see a guy's finisher that loses. Well, if he had hit the finisher, he would have won, right? So maybe it's a similar thing with Drago here. So just kind of my logic on the whole thing.
Yeah, that's fair.
After the match, Azteca celebrating his medallion. Cobra Moon seems to be kind of lecturing Drago, kind of verbally skewering him because he's a worthless house pet.
Well, yeah, I was gonna say when your dog shits on the floor, you can't just let it go. You've got to let him know. You got to rub his nose in it a little bit. You got to really, put the foot down. So yeah, that's all that Queen Cobra Moon was doing here.
Well, I'll tell you, she may be a queen, but a queen pales in comparison to a god. Specifically, my god, Johnny fucking Mundo,
the second best person in Worldwide Underground.
Absolutely.
I said second best just to be.
Oh, you son of a bitch! The second cut out. No, the best. Just like we are the best podcast on the web today.
I mean, Johnny Mundo is pretty great. Johnny Mundo is pretty great, but he's no PJ Black.
You shut your face hole.
Don't tell me what to do.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Johnny Mundo confronts Cobra Moon, essentially laughs in her face, because she's a queen of a stagnating empire. And Taya comes up from behind, spears Cobra Moon, starts punching her. Drago thinks he's going to get involved. He becomes the victim of a low blow and a running knee strike. And then the newly minted husband and wife share a kiss in the middle of the Aztec ring, triumphant over the Reptile Tribe. So I'll tell you what, because the reptile tribe were utterly humiliated, and because I know for a fact that Cobra Moon, now I don't know what purpose reptiles have with the internet, but I know that Cobra Moon listens to this. So listen, I am going to be the bigger person. I know tensions and aggressions were high, especially on your end. I want to make that clear. I am going to extend an olive branch. If you admit to me tomorrow on Twitter, or we just have an interaction, and you admit that you were wrong to go after Johnny Mundo and Taya and kind of throw me in there, and you admit that the reptile tribe is inferior to Worldwide Underground, we can forget this whole thing ever happened. You know, myself, Johnny, and Taya, we are all very forgiving people. And let's be honest, Cobra Moon, we just set the precedent tonight. You were utterly humiliated, something that your tribe, I mean, to be quite frank, should be very used to by now. So,
wow. Okay, so I'm going to have to cut you off here because let's just make everything perfectly clear. The Worldwide Underground might have won the battle tonight, but this war is far from over. And in a war, you never send your king and queen out first. You send your pawns, aka Little Drago, out to do the bidding for you. And you send out your most important pieces when you need them, which we haven't gotten to yet. Where was Vibo at tonight? We were keeping him in our back pocket for when we really needed him.
Okay, well, disregarding Sun Tzu over here for 2 seconds, I am giving you the chance to salvage not only what's left of your dignity, but of your tribe. Just admit.
Our tribe does not need saving. Our tribe is thriving. Thank you very much.
Just admit, just like when the 7 tribes waged war centuries ago, you were failures then.
Yeah, and we won.
You were failures then. I am trying to keep an even, calm tone, okay? You were failures then. You're failures now.
Winners.
Excuse you?
Winners.
Shed the skin of your hubris, Cobra Moon. Be an intelligent queen for once in your reign, okay?
She's always been one.
Put Daga in the corner where he belongs.
Daga is the king. You will not speak to him that way.
Accept the olive branch that I am so graciously offering you on behalf of Worldwide Underground. And let's forget this, because I'm going to be honest with you, Cobra Moon. Look, you're good. In fact, no. You're insanely good.
You're damn right she is.
I'm not done, sir. But Johnny Mundo has bigger and, quite frankly, better concerns than dealing with people that are just itching for a win. That's
Johnny
becoming the
Mundo
second ever.
Is a has-been.
Wow. You know something? You want to go right now? No. He's got to become the second ever 2-time Lucha Underground champion. Okay?
Yeah, how's that first ever thing working out for you, John, that you were bragging about this week?
You're pushing it. There is going to be no war because, listen, Worldwide Underground doesn't believe in genocide, which is exactly what's going to happen to your tribe if you push this issue. So, Cobra Moon, I'm giving you until tomorrow. Around this time. Either you formally tweet an apology to me, Taya, and Johnny, or this is just a war that you want. And I don't know that this is a war that you want, because don't you like picking battles that you can win? Be smart and accept the olive branch. End of discussion. I laid out my terms. So with that said, great on Worldwide Underground. We're superior in every way. I always knew it. Everyone else always knew it, except for Ashton, because I don't know, he's just at a penchant for being wrong as of late. So with that said, I guess we can move on.
I've actually noticed a little bit of a trend.
Oh?
Yeah, I'm starting to realize that the people who quote unquote extend olive branches and ask for, truces and peace treaties are the people who are afraid to lose the war.
Listen, man, I am trying to be, for the first time, a humana-fucking-tarian, all right?
Sure. There's a reason you say for the first time, and it's because it's highly uncharacteristic of you. Gee, I wonder why. Maybe because it's insincere.
What? Listen, why are you pushing this? Why do you want so much bloodshed, especially on your side of the tribe, you turncoat?
You're not Jamie Lannister. Stop trying to save lives that you know don't need your saving.
Listen. All right, you know what? Fine. I'll let Cobra Moon make the decision, but I'll say to you that if this war does happen, enjoy watching Vibora every week as a head on the plate of Worldwide Underground.
The Queen Cobra does not need your truce, and I'm sure that she will show that to you on Twitter at some point in the next 24 hours.
Well, if she's smart, she won't ignore me in Spanish. She will say in a universal language those words that Worldwide Underground is so used to hearing. You were right. We were wrong. And so
I'm going to use that clip. I am going to use that clip of you saying those words when the Reptile Tribe come out on top.
Don't you even think it. One, because it's not going to happen. And two, don't you appropriate these angelic vocal cords for your demonic purposes. How dare you? Anyway, I'm ready to put this discussion to bed the same way that if that olive branch isn't accepted, the Reptile Tribe will be put to bed. But you're the one gambling with lives, so I'll let you talk about the next segment.
The next segment, which, you know, didn't really do anything for the Worldwide Underground, but definitely did prove that the Reptile Tribe is superior, was in Antonio Cueto's office. Katrina showing up, talking to him, demanding that she gets a match between Phoenix and Mil Muertes, Grave Consequences, because once Mil puts Phoenix in the coffin, it will allow her to take Phoenix's life force and set her free.
It seems like a brilliant plan. I commented on live reactions that I didn't comment in this way, and I'm going to do so here. The Katrina character continues to fascinate because we know she genuinely loves Phoenix. Like, they have this huge, bond, this profound bond, and yet she's willing to sever that bond for literally her own life. And here's the thing that I didn't even realize until we went off the air. We haven't heard a peep from Melissa about this. So, like, how is she going to feel about all this going down? I mean, what did you think about this cinematic, man? Unpack it for us from your perspective.
I think the coolest thing about this is that we got more clarity on what Katrina's exact state is. She is trapped between our world, or in this case, the real world in the Luchaverse, and the spirit world, right? So
right.
That's like added clarity to the situation, because that was like the most sort of explicit that they've come out and said that, because it's kind of been implied, oh, she's a spirit, she's a ghost, whatever. That's the first time that we've ever gotten pure clarity, like straight up, this is what's going on. She's stuck between the real world and the spirit world. And I appreciate that. So she also explained, and I love that this episode really was kind of about her just trying to find a way to get her life force back, because we started with her in, King Cuerno's trophy room, and we ended up here with her demanding grave consequences because of Phoenix. So I do find it interesting that she kind of had this opportunity already, because we did already have Phoenix versus Mil in grave consequences, but she intentionally planned for Mil to lose that match so that she could revive him with even more power. But at the same time, I mean, if she's prioritizing her own life and her own sort of state of being over the man that she's actually in love with in Phoenix, why would she prioritize making Mil stronger over her own life force?
Yeah. I don't know, man. It's really a crazy thing. I almost have to wonder if Katrina was really banking on an opportunity like the Gauntlet to present itself to her one day because of like the amulet. And now that that's pretty much, I won't necessarily say gone, but like so out of her reach right now, that like you said earlier, that desperation really setting in and kind of her mindset of, well, if this is my only avenue, it's one I'm going to have to take. And I'm just really curious too, because we hear from other players in this later in the night, which we'll get to. We still don't know how Melissa feels about all this. So I'm curious what she'll have to say about all of it, because I doubt she takes it very well.
Yeah, definitely. She's kind of the wild card. She's kind of the X factor in this, because not only do we not know what she thinks about the situation, we don't even know for certain that she's still with Phoenix.
That's true. I mean, for all we know, they could have had a breakup. I mean, let's remember, despite the fact that they were triumphant together over Marty the Moth at Ultima Lucha Dos, there were hints that the relationship was going to be a bit tougher to have. I mean, Melissa wanting to see Phoenix's face, Phoenix saying that, my mask is everything. So, yeah, there was that tension there. Could it have been that they revisited that tension later in the relationship with Marty behind them and it was just an irreconcilable chasm? Who knows? So I think a lot of that's going to be illuminated next week because, well, I mean, yeah, grave consequences. Mill versus Phoenix next week. And yeah, Katrina going to be back in that Mill horse. And we already talked about like outside the narrative. I wonder how Mill's knees are going to be by then. But I'm assuming, like you said in live reactions, that they would be well enough. Otherwise, I don't think he would have been asked to do this match. So I'm fucking psyched. Let's do it.
Absolutely. Yeah. All right, man. Well, after that, we did get to our main event, which was Pentagon versus Matanza. And man, this match started early and it felt very short. Pentagon started off immediately jumping Matanza as he got to the bottom of the steps, goes after him, beats him up, chops him a bunch of times. But all it took was for him to miss one chop and kind of sell that with the pain of chopping his hand up against the ring post. And Matanza was able to go on offense. These guys were relatively evenly matched once they actually got into the ring. But man, when Pentagon wants to put you away, there is just no stopping him. He sets himself up on the middle rope, hits a Mexican destroyer, comes off the ropes, hits a second Mexican destroyer, and then sets Matanza up in a fear factor, basically the package pile driver that he uses. And he beat Matanza clean here in what couldn't have possibly been more than like 8 minutes.
Yeah. Like how far Pentagon has come from being unable to beat Matanza to beating him in less than 8 minutes. Like, what a 180. And match was fun. Great seeing Matanza again with his power offense. And as a character, he's become infinitely more interesting with the change in family dynamics, with his brother Dario out of the picture and now his father Antonio back in the mix. And probably the best development here was after the match, Antonio meets Matanza and he says, your brother spoiled you. You're useless. And if I'm not mistaken, I think he even slapped Matanza.
He did.
Wow. I mean, here's the thing, brother. I've said it before, and I don't say it in like a hubristic way, but you and I are hardcore Lucha Underground fans. Like all the content they've put out, we have consumed, including the comics. And we know from the comics that it's Antonio Cueto that made Matanza this way because he sacrificed his son in like this tribal ritual to a god, as an offering. So to see Antonio exude this kind of forcefulness, this kind of aggression in the direction of his son being inhabited by a god and showing, to steal a phrase from the retaining champion, cero miedo, zero fear, that really says a lot about the dynamic that we could probably get used to between Matanza and Antonio this season, because Dario and Matanza, remember, I always said I thought it was going to be like a Boo Bobbity situation where Matanza was going to turn on Dario. Now, that never happened, but there were times that Matanza showed resistance. Like, remember when he baited Cueto close to his cage and he grabbed him and he drove the head close into the cage bars to knock him out. So, like, not enough to kill him, but to incapacitate him. Like, and he shoved Cueto when he lost Aztec War, that being Dario, of course, when he lost Aztec Warfare, I want to say Aztec Warfare 3, when Rey Mysterio pinned him. So, like, Matanza has been known to exhibit aggression towards his brother. His brother, in the meantime, showed timidity towards his brother when he felt like he was losing control. Antonio, though, doesn't give a single fuck about that. He straight up tells Matanza to his face, you're useless. So I got to ask you, man, I know you and I haven't encountered spoilers, and it's the happiest I've ever been. I really hope to go a whole season without anything being spoiled for me. I have to ask you, how do you think this dynamic is going to inform Matanza's season? Do you see any like character evolution? Like, what are you thinking about this dynamic here?
I don't know, man. I'm definitely curious. I kind of have been speculating for a while now that we might get a babyface Matanza, which seemed so impossible just 2 seasons ago. But at this point, it would not surprise me one bit, because when Matanza is around his brother, they kind of gang up and bully everyone else. But when Matanza is around his dad, Matanza becomes a victim. And we've seen that through the comics We know that through his past, and we kind of witnessed that tonight.
I have to wonder, man. I really have to wonder, honestly, if with the absence of Dario this season, if Matanza's kind of supplanted him as the still very malicious, still with an evil streak when you tap into it, but also more of a tragic character as well. In fact, I'd say on a lot of levels, Matanza may even be more tragic than Dario. So, I mean, what do you think? New tragic character of the temple?
Definitely possible. Yeah, because really, I almost feel bad immediately for Matanza knowing that he has to deal with Antonio Cueto's shit, because we already know Antonio Cueto is the reason Matanza is the way he is already. He's basically cost Matanza his own fucking humanity.
Right.
That's Antonio Cueto's doing. He's the one that sacrificed his oldest son to the gods. Like, that's, how much more fucked up can it be?
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, Dragon Man makes a great point that I didn't even bother to think of, and that's why I'm so grateful for our chat sometimes. Let's remember, and this was a revelation in the first episode last week, which I'm so glad you and I did our rewatch. Antonio ordered the hit on his own son, and Dragon Man openly asked if Matanza knows anything about that, which I doubt. So what is Matanza going to do when he finds out that his own father killed his brother? Because let's bear in mind something else too. And that now, see, everything's kind of coming together for me. So I'm grateful to Dragon Man for setting off my thought process. Matanza and Dario, despite their contentiousness, they were close. I mean, Dario tells the story about how their mother was very erratic, had her own personal demons. And when she was wailing on Dario, Matanza protected him then. So Matanza has protected Dario from the toxicity that is their parents. What is he going to do to his father? Is he finally going to be able to stand up to his father when he learns that his father took his brother from him?
Yeah, man, I just feel like Antonio Cueto is going to do so much and really everything in his power to prevent Matanza from finding out. And, at the same time, I almost feel like Matanza, because he has lost so much, if not all of his humanity, I almost have to wonder if just saying, oh, by the way, your brother's dead, if that would even set him off, if that would even really register with him as a human being.
Do you think, let me make this parallel to you because we just got done watching it. Do you think that Antonio is going to beat down Matanza so much that it could be like a Theon Greyjoy becoming a Reek sort of situation where Matanza really has no agency himself to exert and he's just a tool?
No, I don't think so, because I don't think Matanza would ever be that pathetic.
All right. I mean, I agree with you to a point, but I think there's something very traumatic about knowing that your father, and you said it yourself, took away your very humanity. And I don't know, this family drama is so much better than any McMahon family drama to me. I love the layers to it. I love the mythology behind it. I love that Antonio Cueto, you just know, this guy, and I'm going to choose my words very carefully here because I know he watches the show and I really like this thing we call living, has very alternative parenting methods, and they're rather different from what we're used to. So I'll be curious how this family unit's really going to change going forward, but should be quite fascinating to watch.
Yeah, to say the least. So after that, we did get an end cinematic, basically like a post-credit cinematic, involving Jeremiah Crane kind of busting into Antonio Cueto's office and saying, oh, I'm not going to take long. I want to be in that match next week between Mill and Phoenix because I want to bury both of them and earn Katrina's love and show her that I'm the only one worth loving. And Antonio Cueto's just yeah, sure, whatever, man. It's your fucking death warrant.
Yeah, I love that. He's just yeah, whatever, sure. It's a 3-way to the grave next week.
Yeah, and then Jeremiah's just I told you I wouldn't take long, and then he bails, but then we stick around and we hear Antonio say, just like your career.
Oh, man, just fucking awesome. Really not much more I can say than that. I love that they still manage to keep Grave Consequences fresh. They know we've already seen Phoenix and Mill, which, by the way, for the record, given the added twist that Katrina planned to steal Phoenix's life force, that alone made me cool seeing it again with just the two of them. But now that you up the ante and you put Jeremiah Crane in the mix, holy mother of fuck, that's going to be insane.
Yeah, we've seen how far Jeremiah is willing to go. Just last season with the fucking, the skewers through Cage's head and then the DDT.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, it's going to be, dude. The spots, I think, are going to be so inventive and violent. And I think these three guys are going to kill each other, and it's going to be freaking amazing. This may actually be the first match of the year contender Lucha Underground puts out. I mean, I'm just putting that out there. Grave Consequences to me.
That's a great point. That's definitely possible.
Yeah, like Grave Consequences to me never really disappoints because I feel like there's a different story going into each one. And it really is a matter of what kind of story you prefer. But yeah, this is going to be chaotic as fuck. I love this cinematic. We had a great cinematic as a tone setter, and we had a great cinematic to kind of fade us out and just eagerly anticipate next week. That sweet, sweet Lucha Underground goodness. I need to switch my blood with it. So unless there's anything else you want to say, Ashton, we'll get to our next segment.
All right, man. Well, I think we're ready to go.
All right. Well, as you guys know, we've been doing it lately. Before we formally get into our next segment, let me get plugs out of the way. If you guys haven't done so already, please like the video. We've got 10 people watching now, only 5 likes. If you've been enjoying our analysis, if you've been enjoying our bickering about Worldwide Underground versus Reptile Tribe, please leave that like. I want you guys also to check out the description box. First and foremost, unique to Lucha Underground reviews, I want you guys to know that we have a playlist of all Lucha Underground content ever. We have individuated playlists per season and like per series, like Lucha Rewatch and reviews and live reactions. But we do have just under one banner, all Lucha Underground content ever. So if you're new to our Lucha Underground reviews, which I did see one new face in chat, the Shinigami Zan, if you want to catch up on everything we've done in Lucha Underground throughout the years, our opinions on luchadors and luchadoras, all that stuff, the all Lucha Underground content playlist is the one for you. You're definitely going to want to check that out. So go to the channel, go to the playlist tabs. You'll see it there. As far as the description, we've got all of our media there, the TWitWoW Facebook, visit it, leave a like on it, interact with it. Our Twitters, I'm John_TWitWoW. Ashton's at apond404. My pinned tweet on my Twitter is to receive Q&A questions. We do Q&A the last Thursday of every month. This month, that is June 28th. So we have got 8 days before Q&A, just slightly over a week. If you haven't submitted your questions yet, you still have a pretty sizable window to get your questions in. Please submit them to the pinned tweet. If you don't really like Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, Discord are the other acceptable mediums. So, get your questions in. 4 questions per Q&A. You can divvy them up however you want, and you can ask virtually anything you want. So, with that said, I'm going to move on to the Teespring. We have all sorts of TWitWoW merch on the Teespring. Everything from Braun Strowman-inspired merch to Scum Squad merch to even Naito merch. We're getting in on that New Japan love, especially with G1 Climax fast approaching. God, I can't wait for it this year, guys. The B block especially looks knuckin' futz. So yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. So check out the Teespring for all of the TWitWoW merch. And we even have a new shirt, Justice for Becky. It was specifically requested by Cliff'em All. But you guys can get your own shirt if you want, if you believe that Becky Lynch is severely underappreciated, which she is. So yeah, check that out, guys. Last thing I want to plug most immediately is the TWitWoW Patreon. And with the Patreon, the big thing to remember there is the TWitWoW Discord. Membership to that Discord is $3 a month. That gets you access to it. You get to pal around with the most hardcore TWitWoW fans on the web today, as well as Ashton and myself. You get insight into early TWitWoW news sometimes. Oh, which speaking of TWitWoW news, Ashton's pinned tweet, I never explained that, is the TWitWoW recording schedule. He has all of June and the beginning of July. So if you're like, man, when's that next TWitWoW commentary going to come out? Easy, tranquilo. Ashton's got you covered with his pinned tweet. Be sure to check that out. Back to the Discord. You just get to associate with us and some of the most hardcore TWitWoW fans. We talk wrestling, we talk anime, we talk video games, we talk Game of Thrones, we talk everything. We even have a not suitable for work tab. I mean, we cover all the bases. So $3 a month, that sounds like quite a steal to me. And and you get content control in the future because, and this is the math I always like to use, if you remain a Discord member for 10 months, $3 a month at 10 months comes out to $30. That's enough for a live reaction to a 3-hour show. Not to mention, you could also use the Discord to submit Q&A questions. So if you're like, oh, I want to keep these a secret because I want to spring them on everybody, then you could just submit them in the Discord. I think it's a steal. I call it a win-win-win-win. So please consider donating. We greatly appreciate it, especially considering that it's looking like we won't be doing Progress Live reactions in the month of July. We are currently sitting, last I checked, at $103. We are $17 shy of the goal. So some new Discord members could certainly turn the tide. Think about it. So with that said, I think those are all the plugs that I can give at the moment. Let us get into high spots and low shots. I'm just going to be frank. My low shot is Famous B. You were jabbing at the mouth, and you cost your team the Trios Championships. Could have been an amazing debut for 3 new signees to Infamous Incorporated, and it could have been amazing PR for Infamous Incorporated. But you know what the headlines are now going to read, Famous B? Because you didn't bother to return mine or Vinny's calls? Oh, Famous B gets ankle shattered by Jake Strong after he ran his mouth too much. Yeah, that's great PR for Infamous Incorporated. Do better! Enjoy being my low shot. How's that for some quality PR, chump stain? Anyway, who's your low shot?
Damn, son. That was low. That was brutal. Shit. My low shot's going to be Matanza. I think I kind of already explained it to pretty deep extent. Not only did he lose his pretty free Lucha Underground Championship match here, but he also has to deal with Papa Cueto being in the house, and that's just fucking miserable.
Absolutely. I completely agree. I love that logic that you used to get to that conclusion. Nothing disagreeable about that to me. Going right into my high spot, this is a bit more difficult, but you know what? I'm going to go one of the more obvious routes. El Dragon Azteca Jr. got an Aztec medallion, punched his ticket to Gift of the Gods, and like I said, I'm coloring him an early favorite. I think the dude's had great growth throughout the seasons that he's been on Lucha Underground. I would not blink if he was awarded the Gift of the Gods championship. I would totally go with it, man. So he's my high spot.
Alrighty. I guess, shit, man. I don't know. Yours was Pentagon.
Mine was El Dragon Azteca. So you're going to go with Pentagon?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Pentagon. I mean, it kind of sucks that I have to go with just the guy that beat the guy that was my high spot, that was my low shot, but I really can't think of any better options right now. So yeah, man, I'm just going to have to roll with Pentagon as my high spot. He showed up, he beat ass, he retained his championship successfully. And yeah, like the skies are blue if you're Pentagon, or I guess in this case, the skies are dark, which I guess would be a good thing to him.
I guess so. Yeah. I definitely agree with you there. So Pentagon is a high spot. That's agreeable to me. With that said, partner, do you have any concluding remarks about Lucha Underground tonight?
I don't. Let's get right into it. Let's not get right into it. Let's finish things out here, brother.
All right, guys. With that said, this has been Lucha Underground. This has been TWitWoW, the best.
Woo!
Woo, daddy. Wrestling podcast made for wrestling fans by wrestling fans on the web today. I'm John. That's my coordinating commentary action. Guys, be sure to comment when this video is done processing, subscribe, and like the video. The more likes you leave, the more likely we are to be the top search result for Lucha Underground reviews on YouTube. And when you're the best at what you do, the top is the only place that you belong. So please leave that like. I've already gone through plugs. I'm not going to do that again. All I'm going to let you guys know, and Ashton, please correct me if I'm wrong, but I'd like to think I have been paying attention well enough. Tomorrow at 4 p.m. EDT, we are going to be doing a Patreon request from Storyteller West, right?
It's not at 4 anymore. It's at 7 now.
Okay, it's at 7 now. Okay, thank you. I did not know about the time change. So 7 p.m. EDT, we are doing a Patreon request from Storyteller West. And I forget what it was. Like, it's from that new promotion, right? The Northeast Wrestling promotion.
Correct.
And it's going to have Lucha Underground stars on it. I think it actually is looking like a pretty impressive card. So We're going to live react to that. The first NEW show actually had some surprisingly good matches and some gems in terms of performers. I'll be curious what this one reveals to us. So again, that is now going to be at 7 p.m. EDT. And yeah, we aren't going to be doing NXT tonight, so you guys just enjoy the rest of your night. It's the first of a 3-week break from NXT reviews. You guys know we always do that post-takeover. So until then, guys, we will see you tomorrow at 7. Until then, tune in and peace out.